feel like giving the creature the necessary strength, or rather, an overabundant strength. Only in the moment when she sets herself to do what I want, not before. Otherwise, she would feel the strength and still not do what I want, and I do not know how to give useless things. How many, before doing an action, feel so helpless, but then as soon as they put themselves to work, they feel invested by a new strength, a new light. I am the one who charged them, since I never lack the necessary strength to do good. Rather, this need ties me and forces me, if necessary, to act together with them. If it is necessary, and proclaiming the divine will is just about the most necessary thing, and whatever God has asked you to do in that regard, of course you pray about this to discern his will, whatever he's asked you to do in that regard, he's going to overwhelm you with such grace to make it easy, no matter what sacrifice it entails, no matter what. But you have to, as he says here, set yourself to work. And this is how grace always operates. People sit in their rooms, some people sit in their rooms their whole lives, wondering why they don't feel the grace to go and do God's will. It's because that's not how it works. Grace isn't this feeling that you're miraculously given just out of nowhere. I mean, sometimes God can intervene however he wants, yes. But it's not generally this feeling that you get sitting in your room thinking about what to do. It's a divine power that emboldens your steps when they are made in accordance with his will. And you can discern his will with the intellect. Certainly inspired by the Holy Spirit, certainly. But you can know what he wants you to do before you feel all the strength to undertake it and complete it. Because that strength comes when you start actually doing it. And in this regard, we need to talk about paintball. Some of you have maybe heard of paintball. I've always had this in my mind for a while to talk about. I never have, but I will today. I played a lot of paintball in high school and college. I haven't done it since because I haven't had the time, and I'm sure I never will have the time again. It's just kind of a silly sport. It's kind of stupid, but I loved it at the time. And if you haven't heard of it, you have these guns. They're not real guns, but they shoot at pretty high velocity. These balls of paint made like the size of a marble. And it's like Nerf, but painful. And it's quite painful, in fact. And that's the thing, is when some people start playing paintball, they don't realize how terrifying it's going to be when you get in the field and you're behind the first bunker you get to, and they're usually made of plywood on these crummy paintball fields around. You hear these high-velocity paintballs slamming into your bunker, and it echoes through your ears, and it sounds just terrifying. And the temptation, of course, is for these new people in the first game of paintball they play. What do you think is the temptation? Give up, stay behind that bunker the whole time. So they're doing nothing for their team by just staying behind that bunker the whole time. They're defeating the whole purpose of paintball, which is to help your team win by moving forward and shooting the other team members. But even more so than that, what's really ironic here is that by doing that, they're just setting themselves up for a much more painful demise. Because if you just charge forward, and I learned this quick early on in paintball, if you just charge forward, even if you do get hit by the opposing side, it's not going to be particularly painful. If you get hit, it'll maybe be once while you're charging forward, if one paintball is lucky enough to hit you. And you might not even feel it if you're really doing your best to get the other team. But if you're cowering behind a bunker for all this time, you're just guaranteeing that, most likely at least, it's going to be a bunch of guys from the other team are going to find you behind that bunker, and they're going to peer over your bunker, and they're just going to start shooting you from point blank, like 3 guys at once. And you're going to get pummeled, and you're going to be full of welts, and you're never going to want to play again. So that's just a little symbol, I suppose, for how we need to go about our calling today. You just sit behind your little bunker, your comfy, cozy little world that you've tried to craft for yourself to neglect God's will. That might be comfortable for a bit, but it's not going to be for very long. Charging forward in his will, and I can't tell you what his will is for you. You need to discern that, of course. But charging forward in his will for you, that's where you're going to, first of all, accomplish his will and help proclaim the kingdom and all that. But it's also, ironically, going to cause you to suffer far less than if you just cowered in fear. So charge ahead.